All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Jenna Wood, and I am one of the dietitians here with the Giant Company. We're, I guess, three maybe classes into our trending topic for March 2025, which is Food Connects Us. So March is always National Nutrition Month, and every month of National Nutrition Month, we have a theme from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. And this year, they're always a little broad so that we can kind of decipher what we want to do with them. But Food Connecting Us, when I first saw that, I thought about comfort foods, foods that, maybe your family makes, something traditional, something that like it's a go-to recipe for you. You don't even have to think about how to cook it. So that is what I am going to focus on today. Some comfort foods and kind of what that means to you. So for me, food connects us. When I thought about that and a recipe that I make all the time, or I remember my mom and grandma making for me, is called pastina. I'd love to hear in the chat if anyone has ever tried pastina, if they've heard of pastina. There's a lot of different ways to cook it and a lot of different variations. Someone said yes. So hopefully there's a variation that maybe I'll talk about today that you have heard of. Now, what is pastina? There's a lot of like, yes, I've heard of it, and many no's. So you'll learn something very key to my childhood today. Also, one said their grandmom used to make it for them for breakfast. Yes, so there are many variations. We would eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, just depended on the day. Now, pastina is a very general term. It really kind of can refer to any tiny pasta shape. So it could be, there's actual boxes of pasta called pastina. It could be little stars, little tubes, orzo, tiny little macaroni noodles or shells. Someone asked if it could be gluten-free. You can use any gluten-free pasta. There aren't, from what I looked to kind of just see if there were a lot of gluten-free options, there aren't as many gluten-free pasta shapes that are teeny tiny. And I find this, with a lot of the bean-based pastas and other things too, it's sometimes tricky to find a gluten-free option that's like not a spaghetti or like a rotini or something, like a lot of the very common shapes. So somebody asked, is the ditalini? So those are technically a little bit too big to be considered pastina, but some people do still consider them. For me, I'll show you what I consider pastina, the shape, because I think every family that makes pastina, you pick a different pasta shape, and they're all good, but we have our preferences. In many Italian and Italian American families, pastina is often served to babies as a first food. It was one of my first foods, which my mother always reminds me that I absolutely hated it as a baby and I would never eat it, but now I love it. So it kind of just, you keep introducing those foods and eventually the baby might like them, as I definitely loved this one. But it's also very commonly served to children and as a comfort food, which is really what I think of it today, whether you're sick or just it's an easy kind of warming recipe. And I know it's spring, but I eat this year round. And a lot of families have very fond memories of the ways their families prepared it. So I think, I think of breakfast time, and sometimes it's very similar to polenta, how some people will serve it at breakfast. You may see people pour maple syrup or something on it. And then at dinner time, you can serve it as is or put pasta sauce on it. So it is very varied, which is kind of nice, depending if you're looking for a really quick, easy meal. And it's really hearty, which I think when you're looking for comfort and when maybe you're sick, it's such easy on the stomach, but gets you a lot of nutrients. And yes, so someone said it's good in soup, 100%. So pastina, regardless of the shape, can be cooked like rice or risotto. So that's something I also wanted to ask people. Have you ever cooked pasta noodles, like rice, meaning you do not drain it, you just add the amount of fluid that's required to soak up from the pasta so that it's fully cooked, but you don't have to drain it. So that is actually how we're going to cook it today. But yes, so you can cook it like rice or risotto. You can cook it like pasta, meaning you use a lot of water and drain it. It could be made into soup, any of those varieties. It's used in different salads and different pasta dishes, and really a lot of other things as well. You may hear pastina being referred to as Italian penicillin because it's often served to somebody when they're sick, especially more in like the soup form. Today, it's going to be more like a thick kind of pasta, but you can certainly add more broth or more water and make it more like a soup. It's kind of like an Italian chicken noodle soup in a way. You might use a broth, like a chicken broth. Some people will use really finely chopped up carrots and onions. So in that way, it's kind of like an Italian chicken noodle soup. All right, so this one, so which is really pastina? I'd love to hear for people in the room who have cooked pastina before, which one of these is your go-to? Now, growing up, so San Giorgio was the brand my grandmother always purchased, but the pastina version, it's the teeny tiny little stars. So you might also see it called like stellini, which is tiny stars. I don't prefer the little star shape. So maybe that's why I didn't like it when I was little. I don't love that shape. I much more prefer, and what I'm using today is the Dalalo, which is the acini di pepe, which kind of means the little peppercorn, which is kind of what they look like in that size. But again, we have orzo you can certainly use in this recipe. These are slightly bigger stars in the bag at the bottom. You can use whatever shape you want, but for me, pastina is a little bit bigger, kind of like a tube shape. But the stars are very, very common. I think probably more common. So all of these work, lots of options that you can try. And on our savory website for our pastina recipe, it's a 5-ingredient recipe. So it's a take 5 recipe. So simple. Of course, you can add or take away anything you want, but we have the pastina noodles, we have eggs, which we'll talk about, any type of butter. I often, when I'm cooking it for myself, I'll do a little butter and a little olive oil. So that's an option as well. A type of grated Parmesan, and then if I'm making it for myself for a comfort meal, or if my mom has made it for me in the past, we don't always do fresh parsley. Sometimes we will do dried, but I'm going to do some fresh parsley today to make it even more special. For our recipe, so we're going to cook it, and I just turned my pot back on to boiling. You can use 2.5 cups of either water or broth. Growing up, I did not typically eat it made with broth. We made it with water. But if you're looking, oh gosh, it's already boiling. If you are sick or you're just looking for more protein and maybe you don't eat a lot of pasta dishes because they don't have a lot of protein, by using something that's a bone broth in particular, you'll get some more protein in that meal. A cup of pastina, whatever noodles you want to use, 2 large eggs. I do have an asterisk there. You certainly do not have to add the eggs, but the eggs will add a little bit of protein. I think it keeps you full for a little bit longer. And also the eggs, so the point of the eggs, kind of like a carbonara where it's going to add a nice creaminess. You don't want streaks of eggs. You want the eggs to be a thickener almost. The 2 tablespoons of whatever type of butter or oil you want to use. Butter definitely helps it be a little creamy, so that's why I kind of do half and half when I make it. A 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan. I'm using the one from our deli department. And then that chopped parsley. It does earn a guiding star, which I love. And so what we're going to do, I have my pot is starting to come to a boil. It says to season with salt if desired. I'm using a broth, so I'm not going to add any more salt. And the cheese will add some salt as well. We're going to cook the pasta very al dente. So about 6 minutes, give or take, on the pasta that you use. I am using the Dalalo, so this one actually says al dente is 6 minutes, so that's perfect. We're going to whisk the eggs. We're going to take the pot off of the heat and then whisk the eggs in. The residual heat from the pasta is going to be enough to cook the eggs. And then we'll stir in the butter, the cheese, and garnish. While everything's cooking, we are going to take a chance to look at our circular, but let's start to get everything cooking. I'm going to add my spotlight. So I have my pot of water over here, and I think I'm going to I might remove my spotlight from this one. Okay. So it is so easy. And that is why I make it a lot and my family made it a lot. Yeah, my pot looks very springtime. So I have the water or broth. So I will show you. I am using the College Inn. It's a 35% less sodium, and it is a bone broth, which means you'll see here it has 8 grams of protein per cup. unlike a regular chicken broth, which might have one, maybe none. So that's another way to add some protein, but you certainly can just use water as well. Lots of options. So I'm going to throw in a cup of the pastina. Ooh, love it. Oh, and I will show you. This is the one I am using, the acine de pepe, but you certainly can use, and I do have it in my house and I use it as well, the pastina, which looks like the little stars. All right, I am going to set my timer for 6 minutes. All right, I got 6 minutes on the timer. I am going to give it just a stir. We don't have to cover it or anything. We're just going to let it boil. In the meantime, I will show you a little bit of our circular since we have 6 minutes. I feel like that'll give us a little time. Yeah, because we don't have coffee chat tomorrow, so we won't be going over the circular tomorrow. So this is a preview for next week's circular. This is the circular for a Westchester, Chester County location, just so you know, and it is the preview. Now, make sure you're always downloading those digital coupons. Grapes, I love fresh grapes. These are for red. Pretty good deal compared to like a $3.49 without the coupon. So make sure you're downloading that digital coupon. I do love fresh grapes, but something about freezing grapes and eating them as a snack or using them as ice cubes, I think is a fun little option there. I feel like we've had a lot of good chicken on sale the last couple weeks. So definitely something you can utilize in a ton of recipes. Let's see. We're still have a lot of good options for seafood and frozen seafood in particular that you can use on Fridays if you don't eat meat. Or really, shrimp is a great weeknight dinner option because it cooks so quickly. The $2.77 for the mandarin oranges, you do have to buy 3. So it's either the mandarins, the navel oranges, or a honey glow pineapple, which I don't love pineapple, but I have heard great things about those pineapples. 2 for $5 for the Kraft. I love the shredded Parmesan from Kraft. I just like the texture's a little different. 200 choice points when you buy any 10 of the options that are on the next 2 pages. I know we talked about Painterland Sisters. Yogurt was on sale a couple weeks ago, but they were a higher price point, which we understand. So this one is a little bit cheaper. It'll be $1.50 each, and just Icelandic yogurt. It's called Skyr. It's going to be higher protein, super creamy, and it does still have those probiotics we're looking for from yogurt. I really like the Icelandic Provisions yogurt. I think sometimes it's just fun to kind of choose different yogurts to try. Our brand Panko is on sale, 2 for $3. Did you know Panko actually means breadcrumbs? So here we're saying breadcrumbs. I learned that. I don't remember when. It's kind of like chai tea. Chai means tea. So, but you can pick up 2 for $3, which again, we're looking to try to, I think it was 10 items to get those 200 points. What else do we have? Honestly, I love picking up our dollar hand soaps. I think we have a lot of good varieties I think there's a milk and honey. That's my favorite. Or you can get 500 choice points if you buy 20 of the same type of items. You could make our brand pasta. You can use the orzo to make the pastina in this recipe today. Lots of great spices. So either our brand spices or our pure almond extract. So a lot of good spring baking. I'm going to turn my pot down just a little. These pickles. Pickles are a great little snack. Worcestershire sauce. Tons of recipes we use have Worcestershire. What else do we have here? Lots of good sale items for different beverages. Chobani yogurt and coffee creamer. I think Shane and I have talked about the coffee creamer. I think it has 3 ingredients and the flavors are just so delicious. And I don't feel like you have to use a whole lot in the coffee to make it taste great. It's got toilet tissue. Not a food item, but definitely a good deal. More coupons, so you can either clip or use the physical coupon here. Most of them call out a $25 purchase. $1.67 for sweet strawberries. That's a great deal. I just made in another for a community event yesterday, our chia seed jam. Of course, that was using frozen, but you certainly could use fresh strawberries there as well. Green asparagus. We're in spring now, so asparagus is the vegetable to, I think, not focus on, but a lot of times when we have spring, I feel like people think about asparagus. are 85% lean ground beef. So 85 is considered lean ground beef. So $3.99 for, I believe, the family pack or the value pack. Let's see, how much more time do we have? We have a minute and a half for our pasta. So this week's meal deal, oh, that looks so fun. So you can utilize, we'll have the boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You can get the extra wide egg noodles, a chicken broth, the whole bag of carrots, and some celery, the 2-pound bag of carrots. That's a really great deal. So you'll save almost $8 utilizing the meal deal this week. So you can make, a type of soup with that, all the ingredients there. Again, I know it's spring, but it's still kind of cold where we are. Yesterday was beautiful, but we're still in soup season. Some other kind of snacks and treats for, game day. Lots of good treats. Things like Hershey Kisses and skinny popcorn. All right, so definitely didn't want to miss out to call out. You are all amazing and you joined our classes, so you're going to get to your 400 points so quickly, but it is redemption time for the 400 points, so you can get your free ham or other items, so that the redemption of the actual item doesn't start till the 1st through the 20th. So you could start redeeming those points pretty soon. What else do we have here? I love little potatoes. What is the call out here? So you can get 400 points when you buy 6 participating items, which will get you all the points you need for the ham. Oh, I love lemons. I think they're so good. Oh, the lavash bread. All right, let me stop sharing because our pasta should be done. So as you can see, it is a little liquidy still. So I am going to let it cook just a little bit longer. Might turn it up a little because we don't want it to be super liquidy. We want it to be like the pasta is cooked without any kind of extra liquid there. So I'm going to give it probably almost another minute. In the meantime, I will show you. So I do have my 2 eggs, and I'm just going to whisk them together. So really, really well. Yeah. Now it's going to be super, super al dente, so really kind of chewy to the tooth. If you want it cooked longer, if you don't want it as chewy, you certainly can keep cooking. Right. There's still a little bit more liquid than I would like, so I'm going to just let it go another couple seconds. In the meantime, I'm going to show you, let's see. I do have, this is our Taste of Inspirations grated Parmesan. That's what I'm using for our cheese. That's going to be found in our deli department. I did chop up our parsley already. And I am going to put a little bit of black pepper. When I was little, I did not like any black pepper on my pastina, but I think I do like it now. So just a touch, right? Okay. Here we go. It's starting to stick to the bottom. So I know we're getting rid of all of that liquid. Okay. I think that's great. So I am actually going to move all of you over. Let's see. Puck gets hot. So, right. Let's see if I can turn you around now. You can see my whole class set up here. All right, let's see. Maybe I'll move you over. Okay, a little bit more. All right. So, no, that's not how I want you to see it. Okay, good enough. So into this, we are going to add in the whisked eggs. So they are whisked really well. And we're going to stir it in really quickly because we do not want the eggs to like curdle. We want it to just be nice and creamy. See a little bit of whites, that's okay. Keep stirring. And again, all of that residual heat is going to cook all of those eggs. There's only 2. You could do 1 egg if you want. You could do 0. Totally up to you. But it will add a nice creaminess and a little bit more protein because each egg has about 7 grams, 6 to 7 grams of protein. So, and if you're sick, definitely a helpful nutrient to have. All right. Then we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of butter. Start to melt. Our, I believe, 1/4 cup of the grated Parmesan. Stir that all in. Oh, I love this so much. The cheese and everything kind of just comes together, makes it even creamier. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Well, that is everything. I'm going to put a little bit in my bowl. And I'm going to top it off. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Looks so good. I am going to put just a little bit of black pepper and then our parsley. I'm using our black pepper corn grinder. A little bit of the fresh parsley. Oh my gosh. I am so excited to eat this. You have no idea. Yeah. Our pastina. Such a comfort food for me. I really think if you give it a try, it certainly will be a comfort food for you. It's so easy. You saw how quickly that came together. Adding the chicken bone broth adds another like 5 grams of protein per serving. So such an easy way to have a little comfort, but make it really easy too. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful first day of spring.